Hey you guys, so welcome to our little info session on what coaching is. Throughout the next 2 days, I'm just going to be going on live, sharing all the details, what we do on a daily basis, what our job really is, how we help people, how we earn money, and kind of hopefully cover all of your questions, misconceptions, everything. If you have anything like specific, like you're really wanting to know, make sure just let me know. Message me, you guys can comment below right here. That way I can make sure that I cover them on a live with you guys. So that way, chances are, if you're wondering something, somebody else is wondering the same thing. So help me to make sure that I'm covering everything in here. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jennifer Nelson, and I am the founder of Team Inspire and Push. So we inspire others by pushing to be the best versions of ourselves. That's our mantra, because coaching has helped me to be a much different person. It has helped me to be more comfortable and confident with who I am, helped me to find who I was. A little background, I married my high school sweetheart and he joined the military. So right at 19 years old, we were living in Japan, left my family. He's obviously in the military, so he was gone a lot. And I was struggling a lot. I was struggling to find who I was as a person. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. I had always had anxiety. I was put on anxiety medications as a teenager. And in those early 20s, it got out of control. My anxiety was literally controlling everything that I did. Every option, every thought that went through my head. Anxiety ran my life. And so that was a really big part of me. And again, I didn't know who I was. I guess I felt like I was trying to be someone else or trying to fit in, or I was just kind of not embracing, I'm socially awkward, I'm an introvert. I wasn't embracing who I was. Now I can say I'm awkward, I'm an introvert, I don't really do great in social settings, and but that's, now I can say that's who I am, and I'm comfortable with that. And I was just really struggling. And I also have congenital heart disease, so that's a big part of my story. So I want to share that too. So I went for just a regular checkup to my cardiologist in my early 20s. And again, it was my early 20s. We were away from family. I was far from healthy. I didn't care what I was eating. We were all drinking and partying. I was incredibly unhealthy, about 35 pounds heavier. And the cardiologist kind of gave me, the biggest thing was that he gave me the hope that I could probably have a healthy pregnancy, which was always up in the air. Growing up, it kind of determined on how my body adjusted and changed throughout the years. So I didn't really know if that was going to be a possibility. But he said, you're really unhealthy. You have a lot of work to do. You need to strengthen your heart. You need to lose some weight. You need to get healthy from the inside out before we can even discuss this further. And that was kind of my green light. In fact, I'd argue that was probably the most pivotal moment ever, because that absolutely changed my vision, for myself and my future, because I wanted a family. If there was a possibility that I could have my own baby, heck yeah, I want to do what I can do for that. So that was really that was huge for me. So I started going to the gym. I started going to classes. I would go on the elliptical and the treadmill, and I was starting to get frustrated. I wasn't noticing results. I didn't feel like I was progressing, and I would go to the gym and I would feel really intimidated. I always feel uncomfortable in a gym setting. I don't know why. I think I might do better now, but I think at that point, when you're unhealthy and you're trying to change and you're trying to make those, build that confidence for yourself, it's hard to go into a gym. At least for me, it's hard to go into a gym and not know what you're doing. And I just felt really intimidated and overwhelmed. So I wasn't noticing results. And one of the friends that I was working with, she introduced me to an at-home fitness program called Turbo Jam, which is super old school, you guys, so old school. And I fell in love with it. And then I started Turbo Fire. So they're kind of they're basically the same thing, but I did start out with Turbo Jam. And then I did Turbo Fire, and I loved that I could do it at home. I didn't know the moves. I couldn't keep up. I was out of breath. I had to pause. And I was struggling to get through the workouts, but I also loved that I was at home. I could continue to push through. I could take a break for myself. No one was there watching me. No one was there, watching me be silly. I could be silly. I could be myself, right? And at that time, I was still trying to like be confident with who I really was. And I started to notice little things, like my pants started getting looser. I started to like notice that I could fit into smaller shirts. These little things that really started to add up. And then I started to actually be able to do the moves. Like I was understanding and learning the choreography. Like when you work so hard on something like that, even if it's a 2-minute like workout session, like if it's a 2-minute song and you want to, know those moves and keep up, when you finally do that and you finally succeed, like that's a huge booster. Like that felt so good the very first time. Like I was able to like knock out that workout and I felt so good. Like that shows how I was progressing. And this was also a point where I started to like focus on nutrition. All of our programs come with a personalized nutrition plan. So I started like looking into nutrition and really thinking about that. And at this point, this is when my friend also said, hey, you should try Shakeology. This is our superfood shake and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm going to try it. I'll give it a try. No big deal. And I loved it. I will say my favorite thing in there is adaptogens, which is a massive mood booster. And so those things absolutely help my anxiety every single day. So that was the biggest thing that I noticed. I started to, my anxiety was much better when I take it. I started to not have so many cravings. I started to lose more weight. I started to have great energy. My digestion and my bloating had gotten like almost disappeared. Just so many different things within that very first month of taking it. So I was like, okay, I want to keep taking it. And then I found out I could become a coach for this discount just because I wanted Shakeology. And I also wanted to continue to do the program. So that's what I did. This was like 8 years ago now, by the time, 8 years ago since I had signed up as a coach. And that's what I did. So that's really how I became a coach. I had no idea what coaching was. I had no idea that it was even like a way to earn an income. I wasn't really interested in learning anyways. I actually had my degree in early childhood education and health and human services. So I wanted to be a social worker. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work with child protective services. Hands down, that's what I wanted to do. Being a stay-at-home mom and an entrepreneur was certainly not on my list. But fast forward, and I did have a healthy pregnancy and I had a baby girl and we moved to California. And so now I was a new mom staying at home with my baby. I couldn't wrap my head around the thought of going back to teaching pre-K, because that's what I don't know if I mentioned that. I was teaching pre-K. I don't know if I could, what am I trying to say? I couldn't wrap my head around me going to teach other people's kids while my own daughter went into another classroom. I was like, no, like I want to be the one teaching her. Like if I'm going to be teaching kids, I'm going to be teaching my own kid. And so I decided to stay at home for a little bit. And yeah, we took a financial cut with that. We had to kind of, adjust some things. I still have student loans from all my degrees and everything. And so we were living paycheck to paycheck. We were living tight off of my husband's income. And not only that, I was dealing once again with anxiety. I was a new mom. I was stressed out. I was lonely, still finding who I was. And I went to, I was also postpartum. So I was a little insecure with my body and trying to figure out how to get back. And so I went to Pinterest and Instagram and I started noticing all these Beachbody coaches posting, and I started following them and realizing that was their job as a coach. And I was like, wait 1 minute, like I've been a Beachbody coach for however long now, like years. What does this actually mean? And so I spent the next 2 months researching and learning what we do as coaches and learning how can I do this too. And at that point, I decided to go all in. Like I felt I had nothing to lose. This could either benefit me and benefit my family. It could help me stay accountable to my own goals and at least make my own transformation. Or I could not really progress in the business, but either way, like I still knew that I loved the programs and the products. I still knew that they were going to be in my life every day. So I literally had nothing to lose. So I went all in. I went from being really shy and quiet on social media to posting every single day, sharing my whole journey on social media every single day, as nerve-wracking as that is. And I'll talk more about that later. And that is something that through your process and through like your growth of you as a person, you're going to get better with that. Like now I don't even think about it. Like I share my life. I say how it is. I say what's on my mind, and that's, now I'm confident and comfortable with that, but we'll get there later. And through this process, I started to notice I was getting an income every single week we get paid. So I started to notice I'm getting a paycheck every single week, and oh, these girls are joining my groups, and I'll talk more about that later. And it started to grow. So what did I have to lose? Absolutely nothing. But I had so much to gain. I remember going to an outlet mall, like at Old Navy and Gap and everything, and I was buying clothes for my daughter. She was a baby at that, or early toddler, I guess. And I was going to swipe my credit card, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can pay for this out of my checking account. Like, I wanted to use my debit card. And that felt so good. Like, I was able to pay for her clothes. Like that little thing was like, dang, that felt good. And then I could start paying for my own gas and paying for, what else did I start paying in the beginning? Like groceries here and there. And then we got my daughter in gymnastics, and then it started to add up, and then now we just bought a new car. Like, these things would have never been possible if I didn't take this leap into coaching and go all in and just see like what could happen. So yeah, coaching has absolutely changed us, changed our lives. It's changed me from the inside out, like 100%, and it's changed our lives. So I'm excited to share more with you guys. So let me know again if you guys have any more questions. I'm going to come on live later again and share exactly what we do and kind of break it down. So, alrighty, bye guys.